Hello everyone, and thank you for joining Take Your Originating to the Cloud with Zenly webinar today. Let's get started with the housekeeping and our legal disclaimer. I'm going to put this on the screen and leave it up for just a minute to allow you to read that. I'll be your presenter today. My name is Allie Whitaker, and I'm the team lead for the Professional Services Consulting Group here at Calyx Software. Today we're going to be covering the loan origination process inside of Zenly and show you how each of those steps work. I've got my agenda up here. We're going to start a loan. We're going to walk through where you would enter the application, where you would run credit, where you would run Desktop Originator, where you could request documents from a borrower, sending disclosures, and also exporting that 3.4 to send over to your lender. Let's go ahead and open Zenly. I've opened up and logged into my Zenly account, and we're going to start with how you can start a loan. Over on the right side of the screen, there's two gray buttons here. The first one is a lead invite button. You can click this button, and it's going to give you the ability to either send a text message or an email with this type dropdown to your borrower so that they can fill out the application. Once they fill out the application, the loan originator will get an email confirmation and the loan will pull back into Zenly here in the loans section. You can also import your loan into Zenly. If I click on the down arrow on the new loan, you'll see we've got options here so you can import a 3.2 or a 3.4. You can also import several files at once with this batch import option. You can also just click the New Loan button and this will open a blank new file for you. Let me open one of my files and we can walk through the application sections. When you open a loan, you're now going to have a new menu bar at the top of the file. The first one here is status, and you can update the status of your file by clicking this tracking and in here the add button. This will allow you to update the status of your file to any of the statuses found in this drop-down. The next option on the left is your contacts option. If you've started a new blank file, you'll need to go in here and add yourself as a loan originator so that your information will flow over to the application. If you did have your application sent out by zip and it came back automatically from the borrower, then this information will already be filled in, so you won't need to do this. But if you have started a blank file, you'll want to go to this contacts area and click add. And in the top left contact type, you'll want to select the loan originator and fill your information in. Below, you'll have the additional details. This is where you can enter your license number. And then save and close that. When I'm changing screens inside of Zenly, I like to click the Save button. Zenly does auto-save throughout the process, but when I do change screens, I like to make sure that the information is saved before I proceed on. And last inside of this status menu is the conversation log. The conversation log allows you to add notes in your file. It will date it and put who entered it. Our next tab is the Application tab. And under the Application tab, you'll see a menu bar. This is where we enter the information about the borrower, the loan, the subject property, and the fees associated with that. You can see at the top, this gray bar has William Campbell as my primary borrower. Inside of Zenly, you can add borrowers, split borrowers, and rearrange them. You can see at the top, William Campbell is my primary borrower. If If I wanted to add a borrower to this, I could click the person icon to the left with the plus symbol. This would add a separate application below with a new borrower and co-borrower available. So let me add in a borrower here. So you can see there are now 2 borrowers. If I wanted to have Sally Sample be my primary borrower, all I'd have to do is go up and select her name. I'm going to right click on her name and I'm going to drag it to the top. Once her name is on top, I can release that, and now it shows Sally Sample as the primary borrower on this file. You also have the icon to the left with the person with the gear. If I wanted to have Sally and William on the same application, I could merge these two, or if I wanted to split them, this would be the same icon. I'm going to go over to that person icon with the gear. For editing borrowers, you've got the option to merge, and then you can select the borrower's name. I'm going to merge Sally with the William Campbell. And you can now see in the gray bar, they show up as Sally/William. Another edit inside of this, again with the gear, you can swap the positions. So if I do want William in the first position, I could do that. Or we have the separate borrowers, you could separate them again. I'm going to do the swap, so you can see now that William is in the first position. Under the Borrowers tab here is the basic information that you would be collecting from the borrower. You would be collecting their first and last name, social, date of birth, marital status, email if you do wish to do the electronic signatures. And each of these sections are listed in orange, allowing you to easily go through and click add when you need to add in information for the borrower. They each have a drop down, so you can select the type. And this goes through the address, employment, income, assets, gifts and grants. The liabilities, this section will auto-populate when we pull the credit in, and we'll do that in a minute. So as soon as you've gone through all of the sections of the borrower, you can go over back on the left to the loan section. This is where you'll enter the type of loan that you are doing for the borrower. You have, again, the drop downs where you can select the type of loan. If it is a construction loan, you can fill that out, and other screens later will allow you to fill out the information needed. You've got your note detail. This is where you can add the values and your note rate. Once you've got your note details filled in, you'll see down at the bottom of the screen the ratios that are in gray. These will start to populate for you. So anytime you do need to reference the ratios of LTV or DTI, you can come back to this loan section and reference it here in the ratios. Lower on this loan section, you do have PMI. You've got the rate adjustments if you are doing an ARM, and extra loan features down here at the bottom. Moving over to the subject property, this is where you fill the information for the property they are doing the loan on currently. Below that, you've got your property information, the proposed housing expenses. Here you would click add and be able to select the housing expense from the drop down. This would be your property taxes, your hazard insurance. Lower, you've got your subordinating financing if they have any, title, and names on title that you can add in. Again, you've got that add button that allows you to click add and then from a drop down select the type there. after you've entered your application, most are going to want to pull in a credit report to review. So we're going to go over to our Services tab, click that, and pull a credit report. Once we've clicked Service, you can see on the far left there's two options, Credit Reporting and Desktop Originator. We are currently on the Credit Reporting, so we're going to go pull the credit. First up in the credit order, you will have the Credit Agency drop-down. Go ahead and select the company that you are going to run your credit through. Below that is your request action type. You do have your ordering new, reissuing, upgrading, or retrieving. I'm going to do an order new on this file. And over to the right, the report type. I'm going to do the Calyx credit report here. After you've selected these options, those gray buttons right above it over to the right are going to become available. So I'm going to go ahead and click Submit here. A credit report is going to pull up in this PDF viewer, so you can review that in here. You can close this. It's also going to be stored inside of your Documents area. You can see in the middle of the screen, the Results area. It shows you the date that I've pulled this, the report type, and then you see there's an Import Liabilities with an icon of a down arrow. You need to click this icon or it will not download your liabilities into your application. So let's go ahead and click this down arrow. It's going to ask you if you want to copy your liabilities over to your application. And you do have two options. You've got the check boxes on the left to ignore closed and ignore zero balance. I like to click these to make a cleaner application. And click Yes. I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and we can go back into the application to see those liabilities. So you go back into our application. We're going to scroll down to the Liabilities section. Here you can see under the liabilities, we've got all of the debts that have pulled in. And if you look below, we have the unmatched mortgage liability here. All of your mortgages are going to automatically go down to this unmatched mortgage liability section. This is going to need you to add a real estate and then match it to that. So let's walk through that process. I'm going to click Add on the real estate and enter an address for the property. Over on the right, you would continue to fill out the information of your property and save and close. Let me scroll down a little bit. Once you've got your real estate inside of there, inside of Zenly, it's very easy to match the liability with the REO. You're going to highlight and click on the unmatched mortgage liability and drag it up to the real estate address that you want to match it to and release that. You'll notice that the unmatched mortgage liability is now gone and that the real estate address now has an orange arrow to the left of that. If we click on that arrow, it will show you the liability that is now attached to this REO. So once you've matched up the REO inside of your application, you'll probably want to go over and run your Desktop Originator. You can run Desktop Originator inside of Zenly. To do that, you'd go over to the Services tab up at the top. And then from the menu on the left, you'll select the bottom option, Desktop Originator. Inside here, you've got the Submission Information area. First, you'll select the Underwriting tab. You will want to make sure the first time you run Desktop Originator that you've selected Credit and Underwriting. The second one, you have several options in your drop-down. You've got Preliminary, which is for the conventional loans only. Then you have your interim and final. And your final drop-down is your lender. You'll see the lenders that you've been set up with inside of this drop-down. If you don't see a lender you expect to, go ahead and you can click the refresh button to the right of this list. This will refresh the list. If you still don't see the lender you expected to see, you may need to contact your admin to see if that is set up properly. After those are selected, you can click the Submit button in the top right. After you've run Desktop Originator, you'll see your results will come back. This is in the lower section. It will tell you the time you ran it, the status, if it was successful or had an error, the recommendation, approved, eligible, or if it had an error again. Messages, this is where you could click and see where any of the errors are coming from if you're missing any information that needs to be filled in. The report findings are out to the side of that, so if you do want to see the approve eligible findings, you can click in there. And the last item is the credit report. You can see the credit report that is linked to this Desktop Originator. Inside of Zenly, you can also request documents from your borrowers from inside of the system. They can then send those documents back to you and it will come into your file. For that, you'd go over to your Documents tab. And over on the left, that menu bar, the third one there is Request. So we're going to go click on Request here. And right now you have nothing showing in your list. You would have to request it. To do that, you can click the Add button on the far right, and your document request form opens up. You can select the top document name. So if you want to have them send you bank statements, you could do that. You select your borrower. Do you want William, Sally, or both of them to send it? You can also organize the category and select a due date if you want to put that in your email. Over to the right, there is a memo to borrower. It will have the default information that is listed with the document, but you can always add notes to that if you want. You would continue to add all the other documents that you would like to request, following the same process. When you're done with the list, you would then click the Send button, and that would email your borrower requesting those documents. Once your borrower sends you your documents, they will flow back into your system and be stored under that far left tab of Stored for you. Zenly also has the ability to send disclosures. You can send them to your borrower for them to print and sign, or you can use the e-sign inside of the system. If you wanted to send your documents for your borrower to print out and sign physically, you would go up to Generate on the top left area. Once in here, you will select the Filtered By. We've got Application, Processing, and Underwriting. As soon as you select one, the documents will be listed below. To put them into your package, all you have to do is click on them and they will show up on the right side of your screen as a selected document. So you go through and click the disclosures that you do want to have sent out. And when you're done, you'll click the Store button underneath the selected documents package. It's going to have you name your package. This is going to store in the Stored Documents section of Zenly. So we can go see that package if we click up on Stored. You can see in this box the initial disclosures, these are the documents that I requested in that list. You would then come to each disclosure and select the down arrow to download it to your computer, and then you could send it to your borrower. You can also use the e-sign process. On the menu on the far left, it is the bottommost option. So if you click on e-sign, you will then click the gray button on the right, the request e-signatures. This will start the process for you. First, in the gray box, you're going to select who you want to be the signer. I'm going to leave it at William Campbell and Sally Sample as my signers, as they're the borrowers. I'm going to click Next. Just like when we generated the last set of disclosures, you'll do the same process here. You'll click the Filtered By drop-down and select your disclosures that you want to have in your package. When you're done with this one, you'll click the Next button up at the top. This page will show you all of the documents that you have selected. We're going to click Next. And you'll need to name this package before you can send it out. Once you click the Request button on the far right, it's going to send the email with the disclosures over to your borrowers. And finally, the last step that you would need is to export your 3.4 to send this over to your lender. On all of your screens in Zenly, up at the top where the loan number and borrower's name is, there is an export button. If you click on that export button, it will download the 3.4 to your computer. This will allow you to then upload it to your lender that you are working with. So we've gone through the application process, pulling credit, running desktop originator, requesting documents, and sending out disclosures. Let's go see if we've got any questions. We've got one here. They want to know if a borrower sends documents, where will they show up inside of Zenly? So if a borrower does send you documents through the document request, they are going to end up in the Documents section, so under this tab that we're under, and under the first one on the left, under Stored. I'm going to click there. They will show up under this section here. Another question, are you able to upload documents into Zenly? Yes, so if a borrower does send you or emails you a document for your file, you can put that document into the system here. You don't have to necessarily be on the Documents tab, so let me click on Application over here. All you need to do is go grab the PDF icon and you can drag it anywhere into the Zenly file. You can see that has a blue plus copy button here. When I release that, it is going to upload and ask me to name the document. You can then organize it by borrower and category if you choose. And then you can click the Store and it will upload that document to your Zenly file. So again, these documents that are inside of the system are all going to be under the Documents tab and then under Stored. You can see here this top line is the tax form that I just uploaded. So we've got that in our system, shows me the date and who uploaded it.